In April, more than 1 million Wisconsin voters backed liberal Supreme Court nominee Janet Protasiewicz. She beat her conservative challenger by a resounding 11-point margin. It was a powerful statement fueled by a public rejection of restricting reproductive rights. And it gave liberal justices a majority on the court for the first time in decades. She took the bench in August with a series of important cases set to make their way to the court, including the state's offensively gerrymandered maps, abortion access, and voting access. Almost immediately after her victory, though, Republicans began floating the idea of impeaching Protasiewicz, effectively nullifying the will of the voters. Today, Senate Republicans gathered to discuss their options for impeaching her if she does not recuse herself from redistricting cases. They claim she can't be impartial because during her campaign, she said that the current congressional maps are rigged to benefit one party, which is true. Here's the thing. Those statements do not meet the standard for impeachment or recusal. How do we know? Well, right-wing Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley once compared abortion to slavery and the Holocaust. We talked about it on this show. Nobody impeached her for that. Just yesterday, a state judiciary disciplinary panel rejected complaints about the comments from Protasiewicz. But that doesn't really matter because Republicans have their own unprecedented plan to impeach and block Democratic Governor Tony Evers from replacing her. How? They could vote to impeach the justice but not convict. We're going a little schoolhouse rock here. If impeached, she would have to immediately stop performing her duties as a judge, effectively sidelining her without actually replacing her, leaving a deadlocked Supreme Court. And guess what? They've got the votes to do that because of a gerrymandered supermajority. See how these things connect? The threat of impeachment is being used by Republicans all across the country right now. In Georgia, they want to remove Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. And in North Carolina, they're trying to remove Anita Earls, the state's only black female Supreme Court justice, for speaking out about racial bias in the court. Joining me now, Ben Wickler, the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. He calls these taxes a legislative coup. He's not wrong. He joins me now. Ben, thank you so much for this. Look, this is insane. And like I said, I had to go schoolhouse rock because there's a lot of intimate details to this. But I want to start with today. There was a meeting of Republicans at the State House today. Do you have any word as to what their conclusion was from this meeting? Now that they're taking national heat, are they sort of backing off? Are they still emboldened? Where are we at right now?
Jason, thanks so much for covering this. This is a real constitutional crisis moment. As far as I can tell, there's no state anywhere where a sitting Supreme Court justice has been impeached on purely political grounds because the legislature didn't like what they thought that justice was going to do. So this could open Pandora's box. We know Republicans right now are trying to not say anything publicly, but we're also getting the vibes that a lot of Republicans can feel in the pit of their stomach that this is a bad idea. And I'm talking about, secondhand conversations that are happening across the state. When you call your state legislator, if you're a Wisconsinite, you've got to make absolutely clear that you're against this. And I think we might see Republicans start to break ranks because they know that this is wrong. Even if you are the furthest right wing or the furthest left or anywhere in between, if you just impeach people when you disagree with their politics, our whole constitutional order can fall apart in a flash. And that's why we're asking everyone to go to defendjustice.com. We're asking every Wisconsinite to contact their legislators now and ask them to come out publicly with their position, not behind closed doors. We need to shut this impeachment threat down and avert a constitutional catastrophe.
Now, at the state assembly, you've got 99 members. It only takes a simple majority to impeach someone, and the Republicans have a supermajority. They got 64 members. They can lose up to 12 assembly people. But I'm looking at the numbers here. There are 12 assembly Republicans and 6 Senate Republicans whose districts voted for Janet Protasiewicz this spring. Are you specifically targeting those 6? Are you saying, hey, or those 12 and saying, hey, guys, this is going to blow up in your faces soon? Or is it sort of a general conversation that you're doing throughout the state on how this is sort of a violation of the public will?
Right now, as I talk to you, there are volunteers knocking on doors, talking to voters who voted, we think, for Janet Protasiewicz this spring to tell them your state senator, your state representative is considering nullifying your vote, throwing out the election because they didn't like the results, and then asking voters to contact their legislators. This is a political disaster for Republicans. It's going to backfire so colossally if they move forward with this. It'll make the 2022 midterms in Wisconsin, where Republicans lost the governor's race, look like child's play. Republicans are playing with fire in a dynamite factory, but they think that this might be, I guess, their only way to lock in gerrymandered maps that give them total control. Even if it's good for Democrats in statewide elections, I think Republicans should back off. And I think everyone across the political spectrum will celebrate if they do. We are absolutely talking to Republicans whose districts went for Janet. But also bear in mind, there are Janet Protasiewicz voters in every district. Many people who actually had never voted before voted in the spring Supreme Court election this spring. Republicans will lose them for life if they don't back off this immediately.
Ben, we've got about a minute left, but I got to ask you this because, look, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin has been a model. You guys have gone at it. You have been raising money. You have been organizing on the ground. You're winning the statewide races. What advice would you give to other Democratic parties in places like Florida and North Carolina and Ohio who always seem to be playing catch up with these local issues? How have you been able to galvanize your voters in ways that state Democratic parties in other places just haven't managed to do yet?
Well, I will say the chairs in each of those three states, they have new chairs, and they're doing the thing that I would advise anyone to do, which is to build a year-round grassroots organizing operation, not wait until the fall of the even-numbered election year. Right now, the people knocking on doors in their own neighborhoods across Wisconsin in Republican districts are people who've done that in this spring in the Supreme Court election, last year in the midterms, in 2020, and will do it again in 2024. We have a year-round presence. That makes all the difference, and that's what's going to help Sherrod Brown win, will help us win North Carolina in 2024, and let's look at Florida too.
Thank you, Wisconsin Democratic Chair Ben Wickler, for the work that you do. It is a model for everybody else in the country. Thank you so much.